A lot of these founders, just start using AI tools and think that's my AI business. What does it actually take to build a business in AI?
What AI is actually creating is a whole new belief system in the world. Have you ever used ChatGPT and felt as if I saved so much time?
Yes.
Exactly. Now it made you believe that what you could achieve in 3 hours, now you can achieve in probably a minute. You will always order on Blinkit because it makes you feel convenient. I can just be sitting at my home and just order the world around me. AI is doing exactly that to you. If you start thinking critically enough, you will actually be able to question everything that AI is doing to you.
AI, education being delayed. Is it actually costing India?
It is not costing India. It is already costed India. Everything. Look at it this way. You are using ChatGPT. So am I. What are we doing? We're fundamentally giving away our data to somebody else. A very, very, very large part of this data of this country has already gone up. Are we late? No, we've lost it. What do we do now? Literally put all your resources in getting that data now in the country.
Today's guest is someone who has lived in Silicon Valley. He has seen ecosystem that backed people before ideas and has come back to India to solve one of the toughest problems, education. He is the founder of ShunyaAI, a contrarian entrepreneur who doesn't just talk about AI. He is working towards making Indians future ready. Let's cut the noise and get straight to it. What is the biggest myth on around the AI that you definitely want founders to break?
Great question. You've stumped me right into the thing. So the biggest myth is very simple. I think, let me just kind of try and rephrase this question, right? I think artificial intelligence is being used right now literally like a small little tool, right? Everyone is trying to either save their time, save some money, but AI is way more to it. AI literally is like this superpower, right? It kind of makes you that Superman that you always wanted to be.
It's very scary to think of it like that. It's kind of taking over everything you do.
It is. And but by the way, that's the whole point. If you realize this, as humans, we've all been taught stories since the very beginning, right? And we've always accepted those stories. Today, the greatest story being told to the world is that of progress, right? And AI is progress, right? What took me, for example, 3 hours to research, I can probably do that research in about, maybe 30 seconds, a minute as max, right? So ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Notebook, and use one of these tools and you would feel powerful, right? So the myth is this. AI is making you feel powerful, but only when you realize how to use it right? Only when you understand 3 important concepts: critical thinking, reasoning, and prompting. Look, you are able to understand my language because you understand English as a language. You've been trained on it. AI's language is prompting, right? If you understand prompting really, really well, you'll be able to give AI the right commands. If you don't understand prompting at all, you would have the superpower, you will feel powerful, but it will be super undermanaged, right? So I think for all the founders, what they really, really must do is this. Make sure that one, they themselves are critically thinking about every subject out there, right? Critically. Question everything. Why am I doing what am I doing, right? Why am I running after, let's say, 7 or 8 different KPIs for my entire team? Why can't it be one KPI, right? And then critically ask those questions from AI. AI will give you the right answers when you do not make it run after 8 different goals at the same time or 10 different goals at the same time, right? If you were to ask it one very sharp question, it will give you a very sharp, very qualified answer. And that's what most people just don't understand right now.
But this very contrarian thought, because AI itself is taking away our critical thinking ability, and yet you are asking entrepreneurs, founders, people in general to think critically.
Let me ask you a question, and this question is for all the audience as well. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
You do, right? Various religions, various faiths, beliefs. Stay right there. Stay right there. You said beliefs. That's it. Humans take action when they believe in something. For example, if I were to believe in myself saying that, look, I can beat Sachin Tendulkar in cricket, I probably will. It will take me years. It'll take me years of practice. But then if it is my belief, I will start doing that practice. I will start investing in it, right? If I believe the fact that I could beat Warren Buffett on his game over a period of time, I would get enough leverage, use the rule of 72, I could probably do it, right? Believing that that was God's sign. This is my time. I can do it. So belief is everything. What AI is actually creating is a whole new belief system in the world. Okay. AI is making you believe that, okay, let me ask you this question. Have you ever used ChatGPT and felt as if, look, I saved so much time?
Yes.
Gosh, right?
We are using AI for speed.
Exactly. Now it made you believe that what you could achieve in 3 hours, now you can achieve in probably a minute, right? It has just created a whole new belief system in you that I can be a lot more efficient. And hence, you will always keep going back to AI. Because what is making you more efficient, what is making you more feel more convenient, you will always go there. You will always order on Blinkit because it makes you feel convenient. I can just be sitting at my home and just order the world around me, right? AI has done that to you. AI has created a whole new belief system inside you. Now, why critical thinking? And that was the question. If you do not think about it critically, then you will start believing everything that AI does. Everything. Because it has started creating the belief system in you. You are getting that superpower. You are the best. You get do things faster. And hence you will start getting dependent on AI. If you don't think about it critically. And that's why I said, you believe in God? Well, some people do, some people don't. I don't know. Have you ever met him? No. Have I ever met him or her? No, right? The fact is fairly simple that AI is doing exactly that to you. If you start thinking critically enough, you will actually be able to question everything that AI is doing to you. If you don't, then you will accept it by default, and hence AI becomes literally the greatest superpower of the world to control not just one, not just two, but probably the 8 billion people on the planet.
Wow.
Everything. And that's why governments are wanting to invest and control AI. If you realize, I might be wrong with the dates, but I think in 2022 or 2023, the US put an embargo on India as a nation. That as a country, we could only get about 50,000 GPUs in 1 year. Just 50,000 GPUs is nothing. 50,000 GPUs is like just one small little facility. Whereas OpenAI,
how are founders and entrepreneurs building AI-based organizations in India?
Great question. So a lot of what we build right now are what we call as wrappers, right? This is AI enabled. We have it. Where is our large language model? India doesn't have a large language model yet. It's on there. I'm not saying that we've done bad or good. Why? What we have to now do is, again, think about it critically. Why have we not been able to build a large language model yet, right? And that critical thinking comes to this one question. What, did we miss the boat? Yes, we did. That's a genuine part. And why? The answer to that is fairly simple. Look, you have to really ask this question as a country. What have we really created? We always think of ourselves great and with a lot of pride in terms of building services for the world, right? We are like that service is engine for the world. Whereas China, in 1985s and 1990s, did something very amazing. I don't know if your audience knows this or not, but we put IAS officers back home here in the country. We've got a lot of government servants doing so many amazing things, running the government and running the country. China fired almost about 60% of their entire government workforce. Fired. They said, tomorrow you don't have a job. What you now have to do is this. You have to right now go find a job for yourself. And that is where they started really ensuring that their country doesn't become bureaucratic. And that is where China leapfrogged from just being another small little country trying to do stuff, trying to hustle in the world. They became the manufacturing backbone of the world. Today, US cannot just review China like that. They can't. They cannot. China did it to themselves. We did not do it to ourselves. We went deeper into bureaucracy. And that is why, you know what? one thing that AI must challenge, and we as Indians must challenge ourselves today is, why is it that papers still leak? Why is it that that people find it such a matter of pride that look in an example UPSC where there are just about maybe 200, 300 positions to fill. 25 lakh people apply for the exams. About 6 lakh of them actually go through a certain process. 6 lakh for 300 seats. It makes no sense. So what we've created is artificial, not intelligence, artificial competition in this country, right? And people are really parents are putting in their time and their money on their kids. Beta tu aage badh, right? Go compete. If you compete against an Elon Musk, if you compete against a Bill Gates, if you compete against, some of the smartest people in the world, that's great competition to be, because then you will compete against the brightest. But here you're competing against the field, not the practice. Right?
Everything.
Right. But here's the thought. Indian companies, we as founders, as Bharat's founders, India's founders, we have a great opportunity. The opportunity is, we have one of the largest populations in the world. What if we use AI to speed up this population? What if we use AI to just completely brainwash this population into doing something much larger and not just run after degrees?
Right. This way, AI is going to take away a lot of jobs. Though actually, AI is not taking away every job; it's just taking away ambitiousness. So, how does one actually look at AI changing landscape of job where or which kind of jobs will come up next in this way?
You know what? I honestly cannot predict what kind of jobs will happen. But one thing is for sure, I remember watching this on YouTube a couple of years back. There was Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. Right? Jack Ma was speaking at a World Economic Forum event, and Vijay Shekhar Sharma, the founder of Paytm, he was sitting right behind Jack Ma, right? And I have this picture. I sent it to Vijay as well. So Jack Ma said something very interesting. He said, in the world of AI, when most things will be automated and when most things will be predicted, largely, right? Humans who have creativity and the ability to think critically will thrive. And he was right. He was right back then. Right? If you see, you and I, whether we have great degrees or not, if we would just think critically enough, right, we would be able to adapt. If I have a certain job, if I become AI enabled, I'll be able to adapt, right? But if I don't have critical thinking in me, and if I'm not able to adapt to this ever-changing world, I'm done. And what? Here's a problem with this whole narrative of AI taking jobs. AI is not taking jobs, actually. AI is not, trust me. What's happening? People who are not adapting to this whole new world, which is the speedier world, which is the faster world, which is the faster way of doing things, which is the more competitive way of doing things, they will go, they have to go. They have to. But now the larger question is, what will happen to their countries like us, which have massive populations? And especially when India has created a massive manufacturing ecosystem. What happens to countries like us? Well, only two things. Either some years down the line, a civil war, maybe, who knows, or else. This is the opportunity. And through the podcast, I would really want every politician of this country, literally the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, right, to write a go on television and tell every Indian youth and parent out there that I am making an official announcement, just like he did of demonetization, an official announcement called Bharat Brainwash Scheme. I'm not kidding you. The Bharat Brainwash Scheme, right? And under this scheme, you will be taught critical thinking. You will be taught how to use AI. You will be taught how to literally leverage AI to take the right decisions in life, such that you don't have to go through an entire school and college and still be confused in life. Why did I do this degree? Trust me.
What do I actually want to become after going for this?
Trust me, you can be smart as an 8th grader right now.
8th grader and 6-year-old.
Actually, I've seen it in my family. I've seen it in the courses that I take on AI. Young kids, if you were able to train them really well, oh man, they create magic. I'll give you an example of this. Nepal, we just saw this whole youth uprising in Nepal. So much happened, right? I have this student from Nepal. I will not name her. She's a lady. Young kid. She's in class 6. Yeah, she's in class 6. Her father, watches my live classes, and he sits with her. And other parents sit in my classes. Said that if the kids are not able to understand something, then at least the parents can sit. Now, literally the father was teary-eyed because of this one fact. He said, "Sir, in all of my Nepal's education that my kid has gotten, she had never thought that she could build an app which could teach math in Nepali language to kids who don't yet know maths that well enough."
And she's a 6th grader.
She's a 6th grader. And I'm sitting in Delhi, she's sitting in Nepal. If she could be impacted, and if now she could impact kids of Nepal, there will be no uprisings anymore. There will be education and there will be progress. That's what needs to happen in India right now. And trust me, we're losing time every day. I tell people that every day lost, not leveraging AI the right way, is like an year lost.
A lot of these founders, just start using AI tools and think, that's the AI business, right? But that's not true. So, what does it actually take to build a business in AI?
Okay, so largely, if you were to understand, let's categorize this in 3 parts, right? So one is B2C, one is B2B, one is B2G. So B2C is business to consumer. Something that I have done, right? So let me put it across this way. I heard this English entrepreneur several years back, and he said something phenomenal. He said, in a gold rush, don't sell gold, sell shovels, right? So the greatest example of this is way back in the US. Levi's jeans. This company, they started selling jeans to miners, and they said, look, what you need is durable clothing that will not tear away, clothing that will not go away, and so forth. And Levi's jeans was like that great jeans. So people started buying Levi's jeans, right? So instead of Levi's creating a company of selling mining or mines, they sold a shovel, they sold a tool which will help you become a better miner, right? So in terms of B2C, if you're creating a business using AI, create a business that helps people use AI efficiently. That's what I did. So in January of 2025, I started a course. I said, I will teach people how to use AI. It's a shovel. I did not create ChatGPT. I did not create a tool. I did not create an app, because I realized people here in India are not ready for it, right? They're just not ready for it yet. The example of that could be that if WhatsApp today charges us 200 rupees a month, they will see a massive drop in usage. They will just by paying that 200 rupees, Indians will find it so tough, right? And that's why ChatGPT has created their most sasta ever plan in India, just $3.99 a month. Nowhere else in the world this is happening, right? So the fact Perplexity gave their entire pro plan with Airtel for free. Why? Because they understand that 140 crore Indians, or whatever subset of that, if they start using my tool, I have their data, right? So the Indian founders who are just using these tools, one, they should look at B2C. If they can teach, if they can enable. B2B, I think this is a great use case. This is where companies like Zoho or other startups who are now building using AI could literally help us do 2 things. Number one, do it with less people. I know I'm talking something negative. People will lose their jobs, but that's a reality, right? You cannot just hire people just for the sake of sustain.
Sustain, you want bodies.
You want bodies, right? It doesn't really make sense. I worked in companies like Highjump, Jabong, and PayU, and we never hired people for the sake of hiring more bodies on board, right? We realized numbers speak a certain thing, and that's how we learn things in life, right? In fact, one of my experiences was 12 years back. My first startup was accelerated by Intel in Berkeley in Silicon Valley, and in the Valley, I learned this: they don't hire more people just to fit. Where possible, they don't care, right? If they could build a $1 billion company which is 5 people, they're very happy doing that. WhatsApp did that, right? So in B2B, help companies save time, help them create more top line. हम Indians we're very intelligent. हम bottom line build कर रहे हैं, हमें profit build करना, हमें top line build करना, right? So create more revenue. That's number 2, right? So, and I think there are tons of examples which are happening right now. For example, let's say Zoho. Zoho starts implementing AI at scale, and a lot of organizations using it will actually start saving time and start saving money, right? Small little startups can at least bring up like leading tools, which even young freelancers could use, right? That could actually help us save time and save money. Now comes B2G, where let's say a business is building an AI tool for the government to use, right? Can the government start using AI? Yes. Yeah. Should they start using AI? Oh, absolutely, they are late, hugely late, right? But how? The government should literally start using AI by enabling people. Example, look, we are sitting in Gurgaon right now. Rains happen. We were unable to recognize if it's a road or if it's a pond. Sorry to say this, but that's just the reality, right? Rains happen. Why do our cities break down so much? I know it happens globally as well. I understand that. I appreciate that. But still, should we be competing globally in on how many potholes are there in my roads, or should we be competing globally for great roads? Great roads, of course, right? Use AI to literally deliver better governance to people. Use AI so that I could get to know who am I voting for. Is the minister that I voted for, does he have any criminal charges against him? Yes or no? I should be able to do that. AI should be able to help me with that, right? That is how we will become a lot more transparent as a country, and we will become a lot more efficient as a country. You know why? Because for the first time ever in the history of this world, AI, if I'm speaking something in Hindi or English, that's in this podcast, AI could convert it into as many languages as possible. So effectively, we could, I remember the Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, at one time said, and he remarked, and if I could quote him in the right way, that why is governing, he was asked a question at an event, that if you were to be made the Prime Minister of India, will you be able to make India a Singapore? He said no. He said the challenge is when I speak in Singapore, 90% of Singaporeans understand English as a language, because we got them like that. So 90% of the country listens to me. But in India, when Prime Minister Modi speaks in Hindi or English, only a very small subset of the country really understands it. Then he'll have to convert it in Tamil and Telugu and Malayali and Punjabi and Urdu and Farsi and Bengali and so many other languages. But AI could do that.
So you're saying diversity could become a strength if you're using AI to, get the message across the last mile.
Absolutely. You know what should India do at this moment, at this very moment? If we understand Stanford as a university, just go back to history and understand how did Stanford start. Of course, there was a rich man who a rich family for their little kid. They're called the Stanford family, by the way, right? They lost their son, I think, and that's how they funded Stanford as a university. But here's the thing. After that, the United States government during World War I and II actually funded research projects and they gave that to the top universities in the US. Stanford was one of the beneficiaries. What India should do right now is this. We've got IITs, we've got so many colleges. I mean, private education is a joke in this country. But anyways, if the government could fund these colleges and not ask parents to pay, all the unnecessary fees and get students into R&D, transform every college into an AI-driven R&D center. Imagine what this country could produce. Oh man,
excellence.
Anything. There would be drones. We could be the greatest in terms of defense strength. We could have students doing crazy things. And not just that, you're enabling not just this generation, by enabling this generation will change the future of the country forever. That is what this country should be doing. Rather than suddenly realizing that some betis and bahins on Mars have suddenly become ladli, right? And creating schemes for them and giving them money. It doesn't make sense. If you really want ladli ma and ladli bahin, if you really respect them like that, what you should do is get women into the workforce. And instead of them fighting for us.
The government launched in this segment also.
I know.
Education can reach the last.
Correct. They have, the fact is that reach,
Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao.
Great campaign, fantastic campaign, and it did create some level of impact. But then what really happens is, since our country is so complex, it doesn't actually reach the last mile. And Bachao or Padhao is okay, but that one story, when I'm not being negative, I'm just wanting to create productivity and positivity out of it. That one story when students lose their life in Rajasthan because the roof of a government school fell over them during rains. Makes no sense. Right? That one story will take away all the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao credit away forever. You know why? Because the social media negativity spreads faster. Right? It's more easier to do that. My thought is fairly simple. Invest money. In fact, take more taxes. Tax me more. But create great quality research habits in this country.
Recent GST rationalization.
I know. That rationalization should now actually impact this country. How? So instead of as parents, me shelling out lakhs of rupees on my children's education, if you were to tell me that a National University of Singapore or something like that is being established right here, and your kid will go through it, he or she will go through it, he or she will find the right path, I will be happy to give more money to the government. I will. Everybody will. Nobody will actually do a tax chori in this government anymore.
But in a country like India where free is more valued, it's very, it's very ideal to say that we are happy to pay more in taxes, where businesses find ways to evade taxes, and it's such an economy. How do you think AI should then be priced that adoption becomes faster?
Number one, India should first create its own large language model, its own infrastructure. I know Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani are doing it. They are actually investing in infrastructure. And of course, at their scale, they are doing the exact right thing, right? They're not building just an LLM layer. They know startups will build it, right? But what the government should do is make AI free for all. Not priced, free for all. Give it to everyone. And then using government agencies like NILET, using private colleges, fund them, and make them train local communities on AI. अपनी भाषा में, in Hindi, in Punjabi, in whatever language that you understand, just use it. Now, enable the farmer to use AI the right way for his job. Enable the house lady to use AI for herself. Enable the young kids to use AI for their own self. So what you've just done is, the moment citizens will become more empowered, right? There will be a massive problem. You know what? They will, as they become more empowered, they will ask you more questions. As they ask you more questions, you become more responsible, you become more accountable. As you become more responsible and accountable, the government will have a lot more many problems than what they have right now. Right now, it is much easier to give somebody 100 rupees or 1,000 rupees and buy them or buy their own, whatever it is. It is not the companies that are evading taxes. The reality is something else actually. Companies call it more efficiency, right? That I'm not evading taxes. I'm just playing around the laws that you made, right? It's that simple. For example, in our country, there is a law that says if you're a farmer, if you are truly an agriculturalist, you don't have to pay taxes. Imagine this. If as Paritosh Sharma, a thought came to my mind a couple of years back, what if I buy a land somewhere? And if I actually, let's say, become a farmer in some way, but I open a school, like a not-for-profit school, and I teach people, like in my online courses like I do, I'm still a farmer, I will not have to pay taxes at all. The laws are made with loopholes in there. AI will plug that. And that is why it is not being taught to people across. Literally, I'm not kidding you. If I was the Prime Minister, I would right now make it a mandate to be for every citizen to be taught AI, like right now. Even the elderly ones, that will help them from, save them from scams, which are happening right now.
Living in Silicon Valley, people back people, right? And that's how this thought of equitable society, empowered society is coming. But here in India, where every second, every moment, everyone has to prove themselves, in fact, in ideas, when they're thought, some very beautiful ideas are killed in the, in the cycle of proving themselves. Right? So, how do you think, this kind of a thought process can ultimately seep into the very, as very seed of entrepreneurship?
Okay, let me ask you a question on that, right? Let's say you have a kid, right? And would you want your kid to progress?
Obviously.
Right? If your kid does really well, would you feel good?
Obviously.
That's it. That's the answer to your question. How? So, if I, or let's say the government at large, was to enable this entire country is in a way that I know that my kid will thrive. My kid will thrive. He or she will get great education. He or she will have great competition. He or she has the ability to become an Elon Musk or think like Elon Musk at least, right? Will this country change? Completely. You know why? Because more educated people will actually create better hospitals, better education systems, better roads, better conditions. The whole society will just become a lot more better. I'll give you a little example here. I was just driving with my family from Ranikhet to Delhi, right? So we were just coming back from a little holiday. Now, in between, I'm forgetting the name of that place. There were some elections happening, like maybe a college elections or something. Trust me. And I hate to say this, but I said to my wife, I said in Hindi, of course, ye haal hai iska. You know what was that? There were small chits of papers lying around the entire road. Young guys in their 20s or 25s, in their Thars and in their large Mahindra Scorpios, they were parked as if it is their right to do it. Tractors were parked right in the middle of the road. There were buses parked on the wrong side, and people were, when you watch the scene, you find Virat Kohli saying the right thing. That I went out with Anushka and my daughter and my kids to stay in London because I don't want them to see the politics of this country. When you see, where is the police? Why hold elections, but hold them in a civic sense? You don't have to do all of this tamasha to hold elections, right? You don't have to prove that with my Thar I saw two guys crossing the divider of the road with their Thars. I showed that to my daughter. I can't. As a father, this makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. I imagine if you have a daughter, right? Or you as a daughter yourself. As a father, I can't ever imagine my kids getting married to somebody like that, who would feel powerful, taking their Thar over a divider. It makes no sense, right? Now, coming back, okay, this is the negative. Transforming that to a more positive sense, what we need to do is this. If we could make enough laws using AI, how? Very simple. Just tell people that you will be graded upon your conduct in the society, and how we are going to track all of that is when you use the Bharat AI. We will track whatever that you're searching on that tool. We will give you a certain score, just like we have Aadhaar here, right? You could actually create a national AI score for everyone in this country. What they're searching for, what they're looking for, what have they created out of it. Give credits to young kids on that. And then give them great quality universities. Create a gamified system of universities. The kids who create something with AI, give them the top ranked universities. Not on reservations. Give them stuff based on that. Right? And then people who haven't created anything, give them whatever low rank university, but enable them with AI such that they are able to create whatever ability that they have. And trust me, if you use a word called equitable, if you create a merit-based equitable system, you will see that over the next 5 to 10 years, this country will change. That guy in Thar will not feel proud, let's just hold that for a while. If there are cameras on the road which are AI enabled and they see the car and they impound that vehicle forever, the guy will not read that. So you have to use AI in both ways. The government has to use it in both ways. One, you have to be strong with it, like a danda being used on people who are not understanding it. And for the others, let them try. That's how it should be done.
AI is kind of equalizing society in a way this panel just mentioned. It's bridging this gap between laws being created and laws being implemented and executed. While all this is happening, India will ultimately be able to create its own NVIDIA tomorrow, or maybe its own Gemini tomorrow. And but that is getting delayed with the kind of AI education being delayed at grassroots level or at a younger age. What is it actually costing India?
This is possibly the greatest and the best question that you've asked now. I mean, all the questions are good, but this is right top ranked for one simple reason. It is not costing India. It has already costed India everything. Look at it this way: you are using ChatGPT, so am I, right? So is a large part of our country today. You're using Gemini, Claude, so many other things. What are we doing? We're fundamentally giving away our data to somebody else who has their data centers out there in the US or wherever across the world, right? If you're using Malice or DeepSeek, any of these Chinese tools, the data is out there. A very, very, very large part of this data of this country has already gone out. It has gone out, right? Are we late? No. We've lost it. We're not late. We've lost the bus. We've lost the ship. We've lost the train. We've lost the airplane. Whatever that you want to call it. We've lost it. But still, what do we do now? हो गया. अब क्या करें? अब तो हो गया. Literally put all your resources in getting that data now in the country. How? Very simple. Get Gautam Adani, get Mukesh Ambani to literally create give them massive lands and set up large GPU clusters with enough electricity being provided to them. You know why? I know there will be a lot of controversies in this country. You're giving land to Adani and money and all that. That's one. But in the larger scheme of things, you're actually getting all of the data back in your own country. You're owning your data. That's number one. Number two, when all of the public and private institutions fund them well so that kids can do research there, give them free access to all of this data. Absolute free access, right? Ekdam unrestricted access. That if you are a great researcher, create it. Number three, the media. The media controls the narrative of this country. If you remember, Operation Sindoor, right? Op Sindoor happened just now. I am not kidding you. I was schooled by the media as well. I'm a very pro Bharat guy, right? And part of my family is actually in the armed forces. In fact, one of the recent trainings that I did was at the for the Indian Army at the IHQ in Bihar. So I trained a lot of Indian Army officers and amazing set of people, their kids on AI. Now, in Op Sindoor, what the media did was this: they showed on television, live television, how Pakistan ke andar ghus rahe hain, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya, and I'm not kidding you. In that moment of heat, I also believed कि ये हो रहा है. I actually told my family, I said, this is it. You're going to occupy Pakistan tonight. मतलब ये तो all of that was fake. Nothing was real. It was not happening. Now, of course, you can always call it psyops and call it with jazzy names, but the fact is this: we lost it. The media channels lost their reputation, right? What the media should be doing at this moment is this: they should be creating narratives. They should be creating courses. So if people are buying my course today, let them not buy my course today. Let the government create, instead of influencers, instead of awarding national awards to influencers because they have massive following, let the government award AI creators. And not creators who are wanting you to create videos. No. A research level depth, genuine depth, with which you can create stuff. Right? Just that Nepal girl created literally an app to teach math. Like that. Right? And the moment that happens, you would see that India as a country will actually leapfrog. We have that in us. But like you, we come from abhav. We come from lack. The Britishers plundered whatever that they did from our country, and we were left in lack. But we have the ambition. आगे हमें हाथ चढ़ा सकते हैं. वो आगे. But the fact is that जो श्री कृष्ण ने दी थी अर्जुन in Mahabharata, Arjun was a warrior. He was trained to be a warrior, right? He knew तीर कमान उसको सीखना नहीं था. Shri Krishna said, dude, what you've just done is you've lost that direction. You've lost that motivation. And hence, just that direction, just that motivation given in the right way with the tool. Arjun के पास tool था ठीक है, हमारे पास tool है AI, Bharat AI, like our own thing, right? But that will not happen. You know why? Because we live in a globalized world. If that happens today, India will have to then do a whole list of negotiations with the US and with the UK and with China and so on and so forth. I still feel we have to compete. We must compete and we must compete harder. Do we have the choices? Of course, Minister Piyush Goyal said at this startup event that China is building such great startups and we're still delivering food. Well, delivering food is also, if it was not a need, Blinkit and Zomato wouldn't have become such large companies, right? Billion dollar companies for all the right purposes. It's a need. Somebody solved it. But, as a minister, it is also your responsibility now to just put your foot down and say that I am going to ensure that education changes in the country, right? That every private institution will now become an R&D institution. Just say that. And people who do great level of R&D will be judged at the highest. They will be given admission to the IITs and not with competitive exams. People who are lesser in R&Ds, they will be taken to manufacturing. They will be taken to agriculture. They will be taken to other streams where their skills could be utilized. And you will see this country will just fundamentally change. You will not have people taking Thar overs or all of that, right? I keep repeating that again and again because I really want, your podcast is super meaningful. I really want your audience to realize this, that power is in there. They have it in there. Let's not wait for the government to just direct us. Can we create our own directions? Can, in a society, now, for example, we have large societies in which we live, right? Abo independence to hai nahi. So, can an entire society come together and do their own AI training for all the kids in the society? So, 500 homes, let's say 1,000 kids being trained by the society themselves. Why not? Why not? Why are you waiting for Modi ji to just come up and say, "Ab demonetization nahi, ab de-AIization hoga," ya something? Just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. Fund your own kids.
Revolution in every society, in every home, in every city, in every state. Talking about startups, definitely AI is helping founders become leaner, where one person can do the work of 10 people. So, what do you think? Say a small business in India first should use AI for? Should they use it for cutting costs, or should they use it for acquiring customers, or should they be using it for building trust?
Great. I think you answered your question. They should be using it for building trust. India is actually a very low trust society. It is true. It's true. हम लोग नहीं तो उसमें विश्वास नहीं करते, right? Actually, करते भी और नहीं करते. For example, when we order a cab, the cab guy comes to our place. How do we trust the fact that he will take us to the right destination? We just sit and he does, right? Lastly. But the fact is, otherwise, we don't. Why? Because so many scams happen, so many frauds happen, and so on and so forth. We don't even trust the government. We don't even trust each other, and so on and so forth. But if as small and medium enterprises, as SMEs or SMBs, right, the advantage that we have is that we are situated across the country in small little parts of the country. Like, we have local trust. Right? We have local business owners enjoy local trust, right? If they really start using AI just to build trust, but wo kaise hota hai? Just one thing. In fact, instead of theory, I'll give a real thing. For all the SMEs out there, all the small and medium enterprises out there, they should either, if they can do it themselves, or come to, let's say, companies like you, entrepreneurs like you, to create a lot of content using AI. Trust is nothing, it is over communication. Over communicate. I'm not saying communicate. So, for example, if I am an entrepreneur in Sonipat, let's say, Sonipat is not near Dehat or rural, but Sonipat is a small share, right, in Haryana. So, if I'm an entrepreneur in Sonipat, I should be using AI to communicate at 5,000 times my speed. For example, if I created one video, I should be able to use AI to create 1,000 different versions of that video, and I should be communicating to people in my own language, all the time. More communication will create more trust, and that trust will create more top line, more revenue for businesses. It automatically will. क्योंकि अगर मैं आपको विश्वास करता हूँ, मैं आपके साथ काम करूँगा. ये क्लियर है. But अगर मैं विश्वास भी नहीं करता, because a lot of SMEs feel that marketing and sales is too costly a thing to do, right? मुझे पैसा invest करना पड़ेगा, मुझे agencies के पास जाना पड़ेगा, and so on and so forth. No, go to an agency. That's an AI-driven agency. That agency could create a lot of content for you at a much lesser cost, right? So go to agencies, create a lot of content, create trust in your society, and you will grow as a business.
It's a very interesting thought, and definitely trust से ही पैसा बनेगा, trust से ही पैसा
Always.
से. Founders today end up chasing a lot of different numbers on their dashboard. However, not all metrics matter. So what according to you is that one metric that every founder who's building a business in AI should be at?
A founder building in AI, interesting. So here's the thought. There are two words. One is called KPI, one is called KRAs. KRAs could be different, right? Let's say I have to go from Delhi to Gurgaon to this particular location. I could go via the metro, via the car, so I have different ways of doing it. But KPI should be one, which is मैं कितनी जल्दी पहुंच सकता हूं, right? Now, of course, every business will be different. A B2C business will be different. A B2B business will be different. That's also one. But when it is about AI, it should be about the customer. Is my customer able to do what he or she wants to do faster or not? If yes, check. Done. हो गया. मतलब मैंने अच्छा tool बनाया या फिर let's say मैंने अच्छा पढ़ाया, right? If my customer is not able to do it, no, then I am not efficient. So that API has to be the customer's will. That is the trust me. This is not I implemented on myself. So in my course, unless and until my customers say, "Aage," I don't consider that I built a great course. Or however great that it could be, right? But if my customers say, "Ha, because yaar dimag ki batti chal rahi," I was able to build I was able to do things faster or save my costs and so on. So why? Because AI is based on data, and data comes from people, right? So you have to enable people. So every business building using AI or around AI or at the core level of AI using machine learning must ensure that their customers, whatever objectives that their customers have, they should be able to achieve that. If that happens, great. If that's not happening, improve. Trust me, if you were to change this country today, ask all dharm leaders, whether Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, whatever, right? All these leaders, the largest, most followed folks on social media, tell them today, in the name of God, ask every citizen of the country to start learning AI. फिर देखो. And I'm not saying it jokingly. I have a Hindu myself, so I'm saying it with all right. आप हनुमान जी के और राम जी के नाम पे AI सिखा दो. People will start learning AI.
Religion bites.
Exactly. It's a belief. And sadly in our country, sadly or whatever, our belief system stems from religion. Religion makes us do things that we normally want, right? I'll give you a little example, and I was teaching my kids as well just recently. So it's a Navratri time right now, right? And I stay in Delhi. There's a large temple near my house. People walk barefoot on the road. In extreme heat, you are walking on a barefoot on the road, which normally you never will, right?
It does not ask you to actually do that.
Precisely. No religious books. No God says, "Nange pair aoge to I'll give you more." No, nothing like that. But you still do it in your own belief system. Imagine if you were to just flip the narrative around and say, "Learn AI." Because things will change in your family. Because your kids will do a lot of better things out there in the future. You just need a better future for your kids. Rather than sending them to the US, you will actually be able to do it here. Most people will probably build. So the fact is fairly simple. Tune people the way they are tuned, effectively without creating friction. And that's what I learned in the US. They said, Paritosh, stop creating friction between you and your customers. I learned that lesson. WhatsApp became the WhatsApp of the world because there is no friction between you and WhatsApp. You adopt to that app just like that. My mother is able to adopt to that just like that, right? But we create things which are very high friction. Just remove friction.
Talking about this adoption of AI beyond metros, actually, it has a lot of potential. However, there are a lot of unseen challenges also. What is that blind spot that founders and entrepreneurs are not able to see yet?
If I use this as one, look, for a founder, I'm a founder myself. You're a founder, right? In a way. So, what do we work for ultimately? You created a company to create profits. पैसा कमाना. Course, right? Otherwise, you'd be in a job right now, settle somewhere, right? So for a founder looks at what's my top line, what's my bottom line? Am I doing the right thing or not, right? Now, when I go to tier 2, 3, 4 cities and towns and districts and tehsils of the country, the problem is the ARPU of the user there is not high. ARPU is average revenue per user, is not very high, right? That user will buy a small, I'll give you an example. And I can take the name of that company, Byju's for the matter, right? So I learned this about Byju's. So Byju's created a product which was a pen drive. And in the pen drive, there was content inside it, right? So people who did not have access to internet, this was intelligent, that they sold, and sorry, I could be wrong with my numbers, but I remember having this conversation. They sold almost about 600 crores worth of pen drives. I could be wrong with the number though. But I think it's right now about 600 crores worth of revenue created out of just selling pen drives to parents of kids that after bacha physics padhena, math padhena, or using pen drives, right? Parents paid in that zone because they thought that wow, is a bahut badi cheez ho jayegi. But here's the thought: if as a founder, if I were to be able to see ARPU from tier 2, 3, 4 rather than me reducing my cost. General approach is that if I have to go to the tier 2, 3, 4, I have to reduce my cost. So if I'm selling, just like ChatGPT, we just took that example, 399 rupees a month, nowhere in the world ChatGPT sells at this price. Nowhere. Like, give me one example and I shut up, right? But in India, they do. Sadly, if you see, from tier 2, 3, 4, and it's a reality of the country, by the way, right? Certain apps which give very poor quality content, randomish content, they are 100 crores in revenue, and they've just been blocked by the government very recently, right? So, gaming in some other form, or content around relationships in some other form, and so forth. People pay for it. If you realize this, just 2 weeks back, there was a notification by UPI saying that the moment this gaming / whatever was blocked in the country, 2,500 crore rupees worth of UPI went up. इसका मतलब ये है कि छोटे शहरों के लोग, people in small little towns and cities, were transacting in these gaming / betting apps, right? Using 10 रुपए, 20 रुपए, 12 रुपए, रोज से जो कमाया वो लगा दिया, right? इस उम्मीद में कि मैं पैसा बनाऊंगा. 2,500 crores, 2500 crore रुपए. It's crazy. Now, if you want to train these guys to utilize the same amount of money and energy to do good for themselves, imagine now what you could do. The part is, it is easier for somebody to sell gaming and betting to somebody in that home to 10 रुपए लेना, 10 रुपए में जाए क्या रहा है? अब अंदर 1000 बन के तो सोच कर, right? Now imagine, भाई 10 रुपए ला, सिर्फ इतनी सी फीस दे, मैं तुझे AI सिखाऊंगा. I am not kidding you. I'm saying this, and I'm saying this live on a podcast right now. If today, and I'm a for-profit guy, I'm not a not-for-profit guy, right? If today this country comes together and tells me कि Paritosh sir, जो आप कोर्स पढ़ा रहे हो हिंदी में AI का, आपको पढ़ाओ सिर्फ 10 रुपए की फीस पे, मैं वो पढ़ाने को तैयार, सिर्फ 10 रुपए की फीस पे, पूरा 1 महीना लाइव पढ़ाऊंगा और 1 साल तक का एक्सेस होगा जो मैं आज दूंगा. लेकिन तब जब मैं बेयर मिनिमम 100 करोड़ के रेवेन्यू पोटेंशियल पे पहुंचूं, you know what? This country will not come together. क्यों? क्योंकि आप 1-1 रुपए का भुटका बेच सकते हो ना. आप 1 रुपए की एजुकेशन बेच के दिखाओ, the country won't buy it. That's where we start. I, as an entrepreneur, I'm ready to do this. I am absolutely ready. 10 rupees multiplied by what? 10 crore लोग, हो गए 100 करोड़ रुपए आपके, right? Will I run with that 100 crore? No, I will invest back in this country, but this country will not trust. आज करें, and I'm telling you, आप जैसे entrepreneurs पे, आपकी जो team है आप पे, right? If this country starts trusting entrepreneurs like you, honest people of this country, we will be a different country altogether in 10 years. Imagine this: if Paritosh today dedicates, I have 40 years of age. जितनी भी मेरी जिंदगी I don't know. Like let's say I live to 70. Let's just say, if I dedicate the next 30 years of my life, let's say, saying I built a 100 crore business, I've taken it IPO, and I dedicate the next 30 years of my life just teaching AI to this country हिंदी भाषा. और मैं इतना अच्छा पढ़ा हुआ, इतना अच्छा पढ़ा हुआ that I will get, क्योंकि फिर मुझे टेंशन नहीं होगी ना, मुझे पता है I have the money to run my family, I have the money to do whatever that I want. But I will dedicate my life to it. आप ऐसे entrepreneurs की team बनाओ. Instead of doing large events, just create 10 lakh such entrepreneurs fund है. बहुत पैसा है इस देश में. बहुत है. आपको अमानी अडानी तो सिर्फ न्यूज़ में देखते हैं. I went to Surat. There are enough Amani Adanis out there who you don't even know, right? They could fund all of this. But we could fund a mandir, we could fund a masjid, we could fund maybe a gurudwara. We could give food. I'm saying give education. यार एक बार करके तो देखो आप क्या कर जाओगे इस देश में आपको पता नहीं.
Powerful. And if this conversation made you say wow, like it just made me say wow, then don't just keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, share it with everyone, and subscribe. We'll keep bringing you more such conversations that make you say, whoa, that was good.